Just give me a second. I'm waiting to see if it's going to show up on my monitor, my phone over here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, audio is working. Everything's good. Welcome back to another episode of Shawn Thinking Out Loud, where we explore the intersections of politics, society, and the events that shape our world. I'm your host, Shawn Armstrong, and today we're diving into some pressing topics that have been making headlines recently: political violence, international relations, and how these issues resonate in our daily lives. Just wanted to put it out there. Got a new computer. Don't know why, but OBS isn't working. It's a Chinese computer with American software, Windows, in Brazil, so it's Portuguese. I think it's having an identity crisis. Uh, Heineken for tonight. I'm using a webcam, so there's little lines in it. I don't know if that's because I'm not using a webcam. I've ordered one, but yeah, I ordered a desktop computer because my laptop was at its last legs, and I know how to modify a desktop. I don't know how to modify a laptop. Also, I have Windows 10 in this instead of Windows 8. First up, oh, okay, Bob, Rob, Missouri Rob. I think you milk cows, so maybe they'll get a education. But this Minnesota shooting, I was like, can't remember the exact site. I don't know who said it. It was. I think it was one of the fighting Trump's stupidity or something like that. I see him every day, and I just post one. I have an article, sourced article from doctors, psychologists, and sociologists that literally say the American left is poorly educated but highly indoctrinated. Then I have another paper that I researched, and the sources are at the end of the paper that say the left has worse mental health outcomes than conservatives. But yeah, so this Minnesota shooting, of course, everybody's, oh, it's MAGA, MAGA. You guys, nobody in MAGA is saying go out and commit violence. Not a single, I mean, do you left? Tesla has been torched by a conservative. Not a single building has been torched by a conservative. Nobody's called the Marines on a conservative. Just saying. But yeah, the loony left. It was MAGA. This MAGA stuff. He was a Tim Walz appointee. A 57-year-old Vance Luther Bolter has been identified as a subject. In 2019, he did a 4-year term on the governor's workforce development board. Folks, you cannot kick up rhetoric with mentally ill people around, even if they're your own. You're in a cult, people. If you believe men can get pregnant, you're in a cult. Okay? It's not because it's 100% false, but if you can make people believe it, that's a cult. That's like David Koresh made people believe he was the second coming of Christ. He wasn't. He's fucking dead. Oh. Trying to think if there's anything. The guy was dressed as a cop, but I guess he was a security guard or obviously armed security, and he had a vehicle that looked like a police vehicle. So, also, the shooting took place at 2 a.m. So, I would be questioning cops whether at my house at 2 a.m. if I'm a congressman. That's just me. I would have. Why don't Congress people or state people have security? The governor does. Well, Tim Walz did. That's why the rioters never went to Tim Wall's house. That's why they don't care about rioters like Newsom. More war in the Middle East. Um, Israel attacked Iran. I've got the hold on, timeline for that one. So June 13th, 2025, 10:28 p.m. Sirens in Israel as authorities warn of a new wave of missile launched by Iran. Let's see, one woman dead. Oh, these are all new. This just came up. Let's see. The IAEA. Hold on. Large portion of Iran's primary enrichment site has been destroyed. AIEA says. Large portion of Iran's primary enrichment site in Natanz has been destroyed in Iraqi strikes on country's nuclear sites. International Atomic Energy Agency Director General Rafael Grossi told the United Nations Security Council. Grossi has reported that there was significant damage to the site's electricity infrastructure and that its backup generators have also been destroyed. He said, although there was no indication of a physical attack on underground cascade, the loss of power to it may have resulted in damage to the centrifuge. The IAEA also said the radioactivity levels surrounding the site were normal, meaning there is no immediate threat to the environment or population. However, due to the impacts, there's a radiological and chemical contamination inside the facilities at Natanz, Grossi said, calling it manageable with appropriate radiation protection measures. I have repeatedly stated that nuclear facilities must never be attacked, regardless of the context or circumstances, as it could harm both people and the environment. Such attacks have serious implications for nuclear security, nuclear safety and safeguards, as well as regional and international peace and security. I don't think Iran, you should be using the words peace and security when you're discussing Iran. Just saying. Calls for Iran to show restraint are unjustified, Iranian minister says. Calls for restraint from Iran in the face of Israel's attacks were unjustified. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas I can't say their names anyway, said in a statement on his conversation with the UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy on Friday, Iran's response to Israel's attacks will be firm and decisive, he said. You got to be running out of rockets at some point, dude. I mean, um, Biden hasn't been in office to give you $6 billion more dollars. Biden or Obama. U.S. official to UN Security Council, Iran's leadership would be wise to negotiate. U.S. was represented at the UN Security Council's emergency session on Friday by State Department Senior Bureau official McCoy Pitt, who said the U.S. has was advised by Israel that the action carried out against Iran overnight were necessary for its self-defense. Every sovereign nation has the right to defend itself, and Israel is no exception. Pitt said. The United States was informed of the strikes ahead of time, but was not militarily involved in these strikes. It won't matter to these people. They're ignorant. We're not Muslim. Pitt reported Secretary of State Marco Rubio's statement saying Iran and its proxies should refrain from targeting American interests in the Middle East in response to the attack. They would have attacked us anyway. And stressed that the Trump administration would continue to pursue diplomacy with Iran. The United States will continue to seek a diplomatic resolution that ensures Iran will never acquire a nuclear weapon or pose a threat to stability in the Middle East, he said. Iran's leadership would be wise to negotiate at this time. Iran claims 78 killed, 320 injured by Israeli strikes. In remarks before the UN Security Council, Iranian Ambassador Amir Saeed Erivani claimed that 78 people have been killed in Israeli attacks across Iran, using the term martyred, and that another 320 had been injured. In his remarks, Erivani has blamed the U.S. for its support of Israel, saying the latest strikes had been carried out with full intelligence and political support from the United States regime. The U.S. has said it was not involved militarily. Iravani has said any country that stands behind Israel now would be viewed as complicit and called on the UN Security Council to take decisive action against Israel. Supporting Israel today is supporting war crimes, crimes against humanity, and deliberate undermining of global peace and security. Imagine a Muslim using the word global peace. Do I need to bring up my intelligence reports? Because holy shit, you people can't even get along with each other. Amid the ongoing Iranian attacks on Israel, at least one woman has died and 41 people were injured, an Israeli emergency service spokesman said in a statement. In remarks before the UN Security Council, Iranian Ambassador Amir Saeed claimed that 78 people have been killed in Israeli attacks across Iran, using the term martyred. Only a terrorist uses the word martyr, right before he slaps the suicide vest on you. More missiles launched toward Israel, IDF says. The Israeli Defense Force says it identified missiles launched from Iran a short while ago. Defense systems are operating to intercept the threat, the IDF said in a statement. Let me explain something. They've been shooting rockets at Israel continually for the last 40 years. They just give them to someone else, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Gaza. Nothing is different. Imagine if they had nukes. So that's why you either need to kill them all, or leave them alone. But they won't leave you alone. So that only leaves one other option, doesn't it? Maybe I'll bring that up because I'm tired of hearing this one too. I've got to hear. I've got a bunch of stuff. I got to go to my terrorist folder. Um, this one is 10 reasons why Islam is not a religion of peace. 18,000 deadly terrorist attacks committed explicitly in the name of Islam in just the last 10 years. Other religions combined for perhaps a dozen or so, usually abortion clinics. Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, had people killed for insulting him or for criticizing his religion. This included women. Muslims are told to emulate the example of Muhammad. You mean a child rapist and a murderer? Got it. Muhammad said in many places that he has been ordered by Allah to fight men until they testify that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his messenger. In the last 9 years of his life, he ordered no less than 65 military campaigns to do exactly that. Muhammad inspired his men to war with the basest of motives, using captured loot, sex, and a gluttonous paradise as incentives. He beheaded captives, enslaved children, and raped women captured in battle. Again, Muslims are told to emulate the example of Muhammad. After Muhammad died, the people who lived with him and knew his religion best immediately fell into war with each other. They can't even frickin' get along with each other. Fatima, Muhammad's favorite daughter, survived the early years among the unbelievers at Mecca safe and sound, yet died of stress from the persecution of fellow Muslims only 6 months after her father died. She even miscarried Muhammad's grandchild after having her ribs broken by the man who became the second caliph. It was this same caliph, Umar, who ordered the death of the first convert to Islam at Medina, an elderly leader who became a close companion to Muhammad and proved his worth in battle. Saad ibn Abadah was killed after a failed bid to be caliph. Fatima's husband Ali, who was the second convert to Islam and was raised like a son to Muhammad, fought a civil war against an army raised by Aisha, Muhammad's favorite wife, and one whom he had said was a perfect woman. 10,000 Muslims were killed in a single internal battle waged less than 25 years after Muhammad's death. Three of the four Muslim leaders, caliphs, were murdered. All of them were among Muhammad's closest companions. The third caliph was killed by allies of the son of the first, who was murdered by the fifth caliph a few years later, then wrapped in the skin of a dead donkey and burned. The fourth caliph, Ali, was stabbed to death after a bitter dispute with the fifth. The fifth caliph went on to poison one of Muhammad's two favorite grandsons, The other grandson was later beheaded by the sixth caliph. Like, he's got a lot of favorite relatives. Um, the infighting and power struggles between Muhammad's family members, closest companions, and their children only intensified with time within 50 short years of Muhammad's death. Even the Kaaba, which had stood for centuries under pagan religions, lay in ruins from internal Muslim war. And that's just the fate of those within the House of Islam. uh, Muhammad directed Muslims to go to war on other religions and bring them into submission to Islam. Within the first few decades following his death, his Arabian companions invaded and conquered Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist, and Zoroastrian lands. A mere 25 years after Muhammad's death, Muslim armies had captured land and people within the modern borders of over 28 countries outside of Saudi Arabia. Muslims continued their jihad against other religions for 1400 years, checked only by the ability of non Muslims to defend themselves. To this day, not a week goes by that Islamic fundamentalists do not attempt to kill Christians, Jews, Hindus, and Buddhists explicitly in the name of Allah. None of these other religions are at war with each other. Islam is the only religion that has to retain its membership by formally threatening to kill anyone who leaves. This is according to examples set by Muhammad. Islam teaches that non Muslims are less than fully human. Muhammad said Muslims can be put to death for murder, but that a Muslim can never be put to death for killing a non Muslim. The Quran never once speaks of Allah's love for non Muslims, but there are hundreds of verses that speak of Allah's cruelty towards and hatred for non Muslims. Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. The last words from cockpit of Flight 93. Yeah, that's a religion of peace. Yeah. Religion of peace don't also, and this is from personal example or personal observation, don't put bombs on their kids just to go out and kill non-believers. It's it's also kind of cowardly. So when they start yelling, Inshallah, all right, Inshallah, shoot him in the head because it means God's will. God's will must be I'm a better shot than you. Uh, so I don't really feel sorry about dead Muslims. Sorry, because it's just a few less suicide bombers. Uh, now, Americans were involved in not involved in the strike, but involved in defending Israel right now with Patriot missiles, intelligence, the stuff like that. So they would have attacked us anyway, just because we're rich compared to Muslims. Now, on to Newsom and the National Guard. A judge named Charles Breyer, who is a brother, I think, to a ultra liberal, um, ultra leftist. I should say leftist because I'm a liberal. I'm a classic liberal, in the sense of like Thomas Jefferson liberal. But blocked Trump's use of the National Guard, which I guess people really need to read the Constitution, especially, you would think a circuit court judge would know the Constitution under Title 10. Actually, I just lost my train of thought. I have a little bit of a cold, so. But under Title 10, yes, the president can call up the National Guard for insurrections, and they can defend federal property. Because I did that for Picatinny Arsenal. I had authority on Picatinny Arsenal. I didn't have authority off Picatinny Arsenal. It was a federal installation. However, anyway, an appeals court ruled against Breyer, saying he could, which he can. He's the commander in chief. I guess people don't get that title, commander in chief. It means you're the commander of the entire armed forces. And if you don't think 10 million illegals is an invasion, you're kind of retarded. If you notice, I'm not doing the scripted stuff because this is live. I do scripted stuff for because there I do overdubs in Portuguese, so Brazilian can understand what I'm saying. Which I just got that function on my YouTube channel. It's kind of cool. Um, and then Newsom said, yeah, the Hegseth, or it was Newsom said it, and then another senator said it. The National Guard was sent with no equipment or food. Hey, Governor, that's your job, dumb fuck. You supply the equipment, the food, and whatnot, and then you're backfilled by the federal government. That's how it works. I was in the National Guard with Jim. Like we don't. They ship us parts that like for instance, like in Jim's job, he was a mechanic. Well, he has the parts on the shelf, and he'll use the part, and then he'll send a requisition for a new part. That part was there, and it's state property until they're activated. Then they take those parts with them and their equipment with them on federal duty because, well, they're federalized. And then the federal government will backfill the supplies to the state. I worked in supply for a while too. It's a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna lie, it's a pain in the ass, but that's how it's supposed to work. I can't remember the form name, but there's like a shit ton of papers you have to do. Generally today, I think it's pretty much all computerized. I know the Air Force is all computerized, but ours was paper. It's still paper. Yeah, the Paper Reduction Act. Ah, bullshit. Um, hey, did anybody check out any of those No Kings protests today on the Army's birthday? Did you notice? No, they put up this big map, and I was just checking it out. Um, did you know there's a no king? There are no king protests in England. You guys really think I need to say it? Um, have you seen their king, by the way? Not the sharpest knife looking in the drawer. Just saying. I mean, he might be a nice guy. I don't know. Of course, back in ancient times, there was a whole lot of inbreeding because you can only mix royal blood. So yeah, I think that might be the product of that. Um, oh yeah, the Senator Alex Padilla was detained at a press conference. Now, did everybody see that video? I want you to think about what's going on out on the streets while watching that video. Also, why would you leave your ID showing that you're a member of Congress in your office before you go to the Department of Homeland Security and then storm through the doors and push a DHS agent? Now, why would you do that? I'm going to go get another beer. Well, you think about that. I want you to think about it. If anybody in the comments has an answer, I'd like to hear it. Other than he's just being an asshole and wanted those agents to do what they did. Did anyone think of any other reason other than he was just trying to be an asshole so we could get the photo op? And then, what was it, Cory Booker? What the hell did they call when he called himself? Sparta, something like that? Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. You're a fucking retard. I can't say this out, um, um, a lot. I'm trying to cut down on the swearing because I write books now, and I want to be able to do interviews on my books. By the way, check out my other podcast on. I'm doing lectures about my books. Maybe some night I will go over and just listen to a chapter of one of my books about the left. They seem to hate the fact that I can read and write above a sixth grade level, unlike them. Oh yeah, they're definitely special. Oh yeah, my name's Corky. I like tater tots. That kind of special. But yeah, I think it was him. He was just losing his mind about it. Well, don't got to remember there's riots going on out on the streets. Of course, the shooting for the Minnesota hadn't happened yet, but they were still rioting out on the street by the loony left. They'd been setting fire to Teslas before that, and there'd been I don't know how many threats against the president, and so someone's storming through double doors, screaming and yelling like they skip their circle. You're probably going to attract the type of attention you don't want. Well, I think he wanted the attention. He wanted what he got exactly what he wanted. He wanted that photo op so he could look at what those MAGA people did. What? Put a retard on the floor? That's all they did. And I guess she did an interview later and said she called him and they had like a 15-minute talk and they swept numbers. So, yeah, you ever notice the brown shirts are constantly accusing the conservatives of everything they do? Weird. Another senator, Democrat senator, was up giving a speech, I think it was in Congress, about deploying the Marines to Los Angeles. The Marines are not trained to defend federal buildings. Hey, dingle nuts, what are embassies? That's their specialty. Also, they know how to detain people. I know we used to do it in Ramadi. We know how to detain people. We can't arrest them. They can't arrest them. They can detain them. They can't arrest them. See, that's the difference. We can hold you until civilian authorities arrive. Luckily, civilian authorities are like walking distance from where we yoke you up. It's called ICE. They're federal, they're civilian authorities. They're not military. They're federal, but they're civilian. See how that works? So, fuck around outside an ICE facility, you're going to get yoked up. That's how it works. We used to detain people in Iraq all the time. Uh, we didn't have to shoot everybody. Probably would have been much easier, less paperwork. But oh yeah, I want to go back to the because I'm tired. District judges do not have the authority to issue nationwide injunctions. They can only issue anything within their district. Period. That's it. I wish people would, well, the left would side with the district judges anyway, just because. Well, the federal judge says Trump illegally deployed National Guard to help with LA riots. The order, which takes effect at noon Friday, said the deployment of National Guard was illegal and both violated the 10th Amendment, which they don't frickin' follow anyway, sanctuary cities, and exceeded President Trump's statutory authority, which it doesn't. A federal judge issued a temporary restraining order on Thursday. Hold on. I'm not even going to read this. The president's authority to activate the National Guard. It's Title 10. Always have your information. The Insurrection, that's the Insurrection Act. I don't want to hear the. There are three. The Insurrection Act is part of it, but numerous incident of violence, disorder. I'm trying to look for the law. There is a law out there. Title 10. CBS News mentioned it. Here we go. When can the Insurrection Act? after invoking and before exercising the powers authorized under Insurrection Act. Title 10 U.S. Code 254 requires the publication of a presidential proclamation whereby the U.S. president formally orders the dispersion of peoples committing civil unrest or armed rebellion. Yeah, he didn't do it. Well, there's three. There's one is for um, invasion, which I believe, in my personal humble opinion, 10 million illegal aliens is an invasion. Two, it would be, I think, if um, the governor doesn't have is part of the problem. And the third is the Insurrection Act, which means people are rioting and, against federal law, which, on that note, I had a loony leftist the other night call me a traitor, but I'm not uh, rioting for foreign nationals. I'm not destroying my country for another country's people. To me, that sounds like treason. Call me kooky, but I think that sounds sounds a lot like treason myself. But you call it what you want. Oh yeah, that'll come later. But yeah, district judges do not have the authority to issue nationwide injunctions. Can you tell I have a little bit of a cold? I should have put this up in the chat as like a poll, but I don't have that many followers anyway who come in here and talk. Can Israel's attack on Iran be considered self defense? I think it would be a good topic for a discussion, but nobody's here, so there's no discussion. There's Rob and one other person. Depends the intelligence. If the intelligence is accurate, yes, I believe it because you do not give crazy people a fucking nuke. That's why I don't think India and Pakistan should have them. Then again, loony leftists keep electing people with Alzheimer's. I don't think he'll launch nuke codes or nukes, but I think he'll forget where he put the freaking suitcase. Just saying. If they elect another Biden, I think we should turn them all off. Not that he would launch them, but he'll forget they're there. Oh, yeah, I almost want to read it to you, but it's boring as shit. But I wrote a sourced paper. Sourced. I went out and looked this shit up on showing that loony leftists have a worse mental health than conservatives. It's sourced by psychiatrists and psychologists. I sourced it. I went out and looked this shit up. And you know what's funny is I'm always talking to loony leftists, and one of my comebacks is someone skipped their Seroquel today, which is the most common mood enhancing psychotropic drug used in the United States. You know what's funny? Not one of them ever denies being on Seroquel. Ever. If you believe men can get pregnant, um, if you believe you're a patriot by torching a Tesla, I don't know what that has to do with freedom, and you believe you're a patriot, you're probably mentally ill. I don't ever remember Thomas Jefferson saying anything about torching other people's property. Just saying. Which I did a podcast or a video on that today too, because one of the idiots was quoting Thomas Jefferson like their blue-haired attacks on ICE were somehow patriotic. You're attacking Americans for foreign nationals. We call that treason where I come from, but weird. Oh yeah, they are. Seroquel. It is the most common psychotropic drug given to lefties. And then I don't know. if you guys been watching the military parade, where the mainstream media has been calling it Trump's military parade, a few of them go, it's for Trump's birthday. No, you idiots, it's for the Army's 250th birthday. The service you can't or won't join. Most of them can't because, well, they're on Seroquel. And now they can't join if they think if they're a man who thinks they're a woman. Awesome. Cuts down on those death by PowerPoints on pronouns. Um, which I'd like to ask, were they? Because I think Jim was in after a little after I was. I retired in 2010, so I'd like to get him in here sometime and ask him if they were actually doing PowerPoints on pronouns. I got the hiccups because I got I'm so glad I'm out. Now, a little lighter note away from news. You guys are going to think this is boring, but I sit around and I watch this channel. It's called My Brother Donnie. I know, watching trailer videos. Can you say trick the chick magnet? But anyway, these two brothers go around. They check out used trailers or new and used trailers, and the one brother's always Donnie. What are you doing? And it actually pisses me off when he switches it up because my wife starts laughing every time I say it before he does. But I watch it because my wife's interested because they don't build trailers or mobile homes in Brazil. There's no such thing. Everything here is brick, and it's not even a stick house. Well, they have stick houses, but they look like freaking shacks here because of the humidity and stuff. So I watch camper videos too. I know, chick magnet. Camper videos. They don't build campers here. I did find one place in Sao Paulo that has campers they import from the United States. Used campers. They import them from the United States. Um, but I watched uh, a guy named Ben's Campers out of Pennsylvania. He's got some cheap ones, and some of them ain't bad. I used to camp before I left the states. They don't do that here. When they call if you're camping, you're homeless. That's camping. Uh, I don't know who's seen it. You got to go over on X. I think he's still on X. The guy who got shot in the nuts by ice. I literally he put it up on X. Yes, we have X back in Brazil now. I don't know what Elon did to get reinstated, but maybe it's because they were losing internet. Because guess whose satellites they use for internet here? Because Brazil doesn't have a space program. Anyway, that dude ice shot me in the nuts, and he takes bite of saying, "My surgery is tomorrow." Or I'm losing it. Shot me in the nuts and I'm losing a nut. And this was on X. It was actually his channel. I'm like, so I typed in, what were your nuts doing near ice? Probably wanted ice afterwards. Yeah. Maybe if they could, if they had put his nut in the ice, sooner, they could have saved it. But uh, I thought it was hilarious. I don't feel sorry for fucking retard. You know how many rubber bullets I got shot with today? None. You know why? I stayed the fuck home. Weird. I know. Also, I'm a legal immigrant, dumb shits. What do you think would happen if I grabbed my American flag and went out running through the streets throwing bricks at fucking the police? Well, I'll give you a little hint. It would, at a minimum, I would receive an ass beating, probably some flex cuffs, jail time. They do like to levy fines, heavy fines here, because it's all about the money. I can't say Benjamins because they use real. and I would be put on a plane back home uh, that I would probably end up paying for somehow. So, my advice to you Americans: play stupid games, win stupid fucking prizes. I don't care. You should, there was a one lady, they were carrying her. She got hit in the head with a rubber bullet. Well, if you're close enough to get hit in the head and have it like do that to you, that's why they're called less than lethal. Is you're too close and you were doing something stupid, or someone near you was doing something stupid. You're at risk if you're hanging around with fucking idiots. If you're hanging around with someone who smells like bong water and gasoline, you're probably not in good company, which is pretty much the loony left. If they have a man bun smell like bong water and gasoline, you probably want to stay away from them. They're going to probably going to get shot with like I don't know a rubber bullet, maybe some pepper spray, and they have the big canisters, man. They got the we carried the Mark Nines when I was in the service, but they have the big. I think it's called like the Mark 21 or some shit like that. They're big canisters. It would be better if they were using like roach spray or something, but it won't kill you. But your lips are going to be fucking numb, and you might be bouncing off the walls for a little bit. Yeah, they ricochet. Hopefully, off someone's face into another person's face, and they go home. Uh, did everybody hear the budget's not passed, but they voted to make the Doge cuts permanent. I think I got that story here for you. Doge cuts. There we go. The House just passed a $9.4 billion in Doge cuts. Comes 1 week after Musk and Trump feud exploded into public view. Four Republicans voted against cuts to public broadcasting and foreign aid. Oh my God, Peru won't get its gay comic book. The whole government could collapse. Nothing says, democracy better than more than gobbling cock. Things may still be frosty between Elon Musk and President Donald Trump, but the Doge agenda is continuing to chug along in Congress. The House voted on Thursday to approve $9.4 billion in Doge cuts, passing a bill that would rescind roughly $1.1 billion in funding from NPR. The government should never be funding news sources or news organizations. None. That's called propaganda. That's not. And PBS, again, propaganda. And more than $8.3 billion in foreign aid spending. That includes cuts to PEPFAR, a foreign aid program for the prevention and treatment of HIV and AIDS worldwide. Not our problem. I feel sorry but fucking get an education, people. The package of cuts now heads to the Senate, where its fate remains uncertain. It could be the first of multiple rounds of Doge cuts to come. Four Republicans utterly voted against the package, including, just so you know, Representative Mark Omode of Nevada, Representative Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, of course, Pennsylvania, Representative Nicole Maliotsky of New York, of course, New York, and Representative Mike Turner of Ohio. The bill passed by a narrow 214 to 212 margin. Democrats unanimously opposed it. Of course they did, because where are they going to get their slush fund? Yeah, language. Fodese. How's that language? But yeah, yeah. So four Republicans that you shouldn't vote for, again, because they're rhinos. And you see, I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent. I am a classic liberal. When I say classic liberal, I mean Thomas Jefferson liberal. Small government, individual rights. I think it was actually Thomas Jefferson who said a good great government is a government that doesn't govern a lot. Oh yeah, I got to read. That was another thing I put up here to read to you guys. The remember when Musk put out that shit about Trump being on the Epstein list? Well, it would appear Epstein's lawyer is, yeah, ain't standing for that shit. In a recent development surrounding the controversial figure of Jeffrey Epstein, attorney for Epstein's estate, Daniel Weiner, I didn't make the name, dude, has publicly criticized Elon Musk's assertion that former president or President Donald Trump is mentioned in what has been termed the Epstein files. This claim, which Musk has made via social media, has sparked significant debate and drawn attention to the ongoing ramification of Epstein's criminal activities and the high profile individuals associated with him. Half of them hate Trump. Weiner's rebuttal emphasizes the need for accuracy in such serious allegations. So, yeah, the left, but yeah, I'm a, let's put it this way, I'm not a loony leftist. There's a lot of things like I've talked to middle of the road Democrats where I'm going, yeah, I could, yeah, but a loony leftist, oh fuck, oh, hell no. There's no compromise with them. I would never compromise with a loony leftist because I've read too many books on communism. Sorry, I wrote 2 books on communism. Maybe those are some of the books I should be doing. Going over the audiobook thing and listening to chapters of, so people have to fucking hear it. I had this loony leftist on YouTube. They put up memes. They're supposed to be really smart people, right? They've all gone through college, and they'll tell you too. They've been to college, and they put up memes. Well, I'm posting sourced articles, but they're smarter than I am. I'm still trying to figure out how that works, but that's okay. Before I get into this next one, I'm going to go grab another Gahafa. All right, back with another bottle of Heineken. All right. I still think this one was again that same site, something fighting Trump's stupidity. Obviously, they're idiots, but anyway. I posted, I can't believe, as they posted a meme, I can't believe people are cheering for the Marines, hurting their own people. I don't think they really get irony. The Marines are there because they were hurting their own people. ICE agents are their people, Americans. Some of them live in California, but they have to wear masks because if they don't, some of you fucking idiots will go fuck with their house. Illegal aliens are not. They're not your people. They're El Salvadorians. They're some are Brazilian, some are South American, some are Korea, Vietnam. They come from everywhere. Most of the people, well, they don't get it. And if you get hurt by a Marine, chances are you're doing something you're not supposed to be. Like if they're getting hit, I know Marines. I served with them in Iraq. You hit a Marine with a brick, call your mother and tell her you won't be home for dinner ever. That's why they don't want them there because they're not going to fuck around with them. They're not going to play. Sorry. That's why they're there. Anyway, I'm tired of this stupidity. Also, if you're killing 3,000 babies a day, you're probably not the people I'm going to listen to about morals. You have no moral superiority over me. And I want to know who's paying these riders because I've seen like protests before, and they're not really well organized. They don't have equipment. They don't have like printed signs. So I believe these are probably being funded through uh, democratic donors, through non-government organizations, probably leftist like communist or socialist organizations. But I was listening to the DHS director, Nome. Finally got some decent looking people, but it will never. You could put all the beautiful women you want in government, but it will never fucking outweigh the ugly of Maxine Waters. Nothing. I don't care how many. You could put the entire Swedish volleyball team on, and no, that's just ugly. That cannot be described. Oh, a long time ago. They just don't get it. But June 6th, on those arrests, they arrested 330 illegal aliens in Los Angeles. All of them had criminal records from rape to attempted murder. One of them had a second-degree murder charge. I don't care. A matter of fact, I don't care about illegals at all. I'm a legal immigrant. You can't lecture me on immigration. You need to sit the fuck down. Okay, I did it the right way, or I wouldn't be here. Then I was over on X, and of course it's the birthday, Army's birthday, but it was, I believe it's also Trump's birthday or something. But they were trying to call it. They said Happy Obama Day, and they had a picture of the Obamas, him and his boyfriend or his husband. Anyway, I'm working, and this is true. I am working on a book on the Obama administration. I was going to call it the shit show, but then then Biden came along and fucked that title up. So now I have to think of a whole new title. Actually, I have a title, man. I'm just going to call him Messiah. I call it Messiah because the loony left keeps sharing him like it was a Messiah and not a fucking soup sandwich. He was a soup sandwich, like dumb as a baseball bat or a football bat. And again, back to that same group. I keep telling you about. I think it's fighting Trump's stupidity. They posted a meme. I don't know what it is with memes. They're all supposed to be college educated. But they posted a meme that said 44% of illegals held by ICE have no criminal record. So I responded, and I have Title 8, Section 8, Title 1312, the immigration code on my computer in PDF form, just for idiots like this. 44% of illegals held by ICE have no criminal record. I posted the immigration law and said, liar, 100% have a criminal record. They're here illegally. Hint, literally, that's the definition of illegal. So I do enjoy getting lectured by immigration about immigration by lily white fucking leftists with a man bun and a beard that looks like it came off their ass. What do you think would happen in Brazil, just hypothetically, if I took an American flag, walked out into my street, started screaming "fuck Brazil" or and waving the American flag, and then threw a brick at a Brazilian cop? Well, I could give you a hint. It would probably involve an ass beating, flex cuffs, some heavy fines, and then a plane ride home, which I will probably end up paying for. I even wrote a book to help Brazilians come legally, like customs, traditions, laws. I do think our system needs to be revamped to be one merit based. If we need a certain job, description, and two, it should be streamlined. It shouldn't take 5 to 7 fucking years to get a green card. My wife should be able to visit just because we're married to see my family. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have to make 10 trips to the fucking embassy. Those are all my notes that I have. So, but yeah, it drives me. Of course, it's the equivalent of when non-service members lecture me about the service. I'm pretty sure. Well, I was over on Grumpy's today, and a non-farmer was lecturing Grumpy about farming and subsidies. Two subjects he knows nothing about. He could, but they don't do research. Do you know how easy it is to write a book if you know to one, ask questions, and two, answer the questions? It's not, in reality, I'm not smarter than anyone else. I just ask questions and then answer them because you have uh, all the information in the world is at your fingertips. You just need to be one, motivated, and two, ask questions. I know working people don't have that time, but I do. That's why I write books. That's why I do audiobooks too, so people can listen, But the loony left can't even handle audiobooks. Did you know? And these are actual Department of Education statistics. 1 in 4 high school graduates can't read above sixth grade level. That's the United States, folks. But remember, USAID was sending money to Asia so their kids could keep up with ours in science and math and that kind of shit. And the loony left are upset because we're not doing that anymore. Do you really think we were sending money for that reason? Or were we just laundering money for some NGO to give it back to the Democrats? Weird. I don't want to call myself a conspiracy theorist, but that sounds like a pretty, you know, plausible conspiracy. Let me see what else is out. I have two. I'm keeping track of Israel too. See if there's any new state media says new missiles drone attack launched against it. That was 3 hours ago. Algiers live update. Iran launches missiles at Israel after. Okay, that's an old one. I'm looking for something new. I get most of my news, believe it or not, from podcasts. They uh, they go out and find it for me, and then I go out and research what they say. I ask questions, and then I answer the questions. If you listen to my recorded podcast, that's all that is. I ask a question, and then I go out and find the information to answer it. Well, like when I study in college, I'm still in college. I go to online through. I go to Hillsdale College online. Like when we do, let's say we're talking about the Declaration of Independence, right? If the professor says the Declaration of Independence was written in 1776, you, not knowing any better, would write down Declaration of Independence written in 1776. Not me. I write down when was the Declaration of Independence signed. Then they'll say like Thomas Jefferson penned the Declaration of Independence. You would write down Thomas Jefferson penned the Declaration of Independence. I would write down who penned the Declaration of Independence. And then I go find the answer, and I'll write like a paragraph on it. That's how you learn stuff. And there's going to be stuff attached to that you didn't even need to know, but you're going to learn because it was part of what you were looking up. So you're going to get more knowledge. And that's why I'm not smarter than anybody else. I just know how to put stuff in my brain better. And it's a pretty banged up brain too. 11 IEDs, and yeah, my memory sucks. But if I do it that way, I can look stuff up, or I can, you know, uh, remember stuff. That's how I write my books too. My books are nothing more than me asking questions and then answering them. Like Trump, 4.2% GDP. When did Trump achieve 4.2 GDP? How did Trump um, achieve 4.2 GDP? Um, what policies helped achieve that 4.2 GDP? Right? You ask those questions, you go out and look them up. You come up with a book. The book is 600 pages long. That's a lot of freaking questions. Of course, I've had them on my computer ever since the first elect or the he ran in 2020. I don't just vote for people. I actually look stuff up. After Obama, that's when I started really doing that. Because Obama, I'll give Obama credit, man. He could give a good speech, almost JFK like. He's a horrible freaking president. He was the worst president we had since oh sorry since World War II. Slowest recovery. What a race baiting asshole too. But I mean, we're so racist. We had our black president in a white majority country. That's another thing I do enjoy from the lily white leftists in America. I don't think they check my profile because I get what well, my favorite. You're afraid of brown people, sort of. My wife is brown, and well, this thing ain't going to suck itself. So yeah, kind of. Yeah, yeah. What she says goes. Kind of. I'm not a simp though. But yeah, this house. Of course, I will guarantee my wife looks better than 98% of you. American women have too much access to KFC and Pizza Hut, especially when you have shitty attitudes. Yeah. I'm all that in a bag of chips. You look like you ate the fucking bag of chips and all that. Two things makeup can't hide: fat and stupid. But I think I'm going to wrap this one up now that I've gone through my notes, and I might pop a coffee. Well, I got a couple more beers left. I'm watching season 2 of Fubar with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Kind of funny. I've never seen a CIA agent run around with a pig. And I can't. No, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's funny. But keep watching for recorded ones that they're scripted, but they're better. And also go over to my navigating American politics educational. I learned stuff when I read the book, and that's all those lectures are. Just what I learned writing those books. But Maybelline is working on it. Yeah, you ain't good. No, you can't. You can't hide fat and stupid. Sorry, especially for me. And I don't want to say I hate, but I live in the supermodel capital of the world. And you've seen a picture of my wife. You're not gonna like when I go on YouTube and I see these women just bitching about men. I'm like, bitch, you got two chins. It ain't like he's withholding food. But I listened to Oh, this guy. Men need to be heard, and he goes on about all, and he has videos of these women just going on about how horrible men are. Then fucking die. No one cares. No one cares. I was out on a date and this guy didn't want to pay all my bills. Yeah. Where's the downside? You sound like an idiot. Also, and they're always like fat with too much makeup and like that's why I moved to Brazil. Fuck. And these are the women that like if I were in the states, I'd be going, I'm too good for you. All right. I won't say too good, but you just not for me. No. The number of people that hate America living in America is astounding. I live in a foreign country and I'm still proud to be an American. Matter of fact, people here like America more than they do. So maybe we should trade a few of those people for leftists. And I don't mean ship the leftists somewhere else, except for maybe the middle of the Atlantic, where they'll be happy, or send them to like North Korea, where they'll be happy, with their socialist utopia. We have socialism here. It's the worst parts of the country, like gas prices. They own the oil company. Why is gas like 7 reals? Oh, yeah, because the government's corrupt as fuck. And I'm not saying America's government is not corrupt, but they don't own shit. They get paid by shit, like corporations pay them. But that's a little harder to do when you don't own the company. Here, they just steal the money. They don't give a fuck. And they have the military. Did you know here that if the military believes an election was unlawful, they could just nullify it? Yeah, imagine that in America. But I'm going to wrap this up on the fat chick and makeup note because, well, I might go over to YouTube, Facebook, and try and call my family. Maybe. But peace out, people, and catch some of my recorded stuff. It's a little better, and go over and check out Navigating American Politics. It's from my books. It's not word for word my books, but it's from my books. They're lectures I did that helped me write the books. Really, when you think about it, and they're getting longer too, more in depth. The next, right now, we're working on how the elite lefts have fostered tribalism in America. And the next book is on the evolution of foreign policy. So go over there, check it out, and I'll talk to you later.